What's next for Drew McIntyre? Is he going to stay in WWE or will he end up signing with AEW? Let's talk about that in today's Wrestling Ramble. You've likely heard the rumors, the speculation, and the reports on the current contract situation with Drew McIntyre in WWE. His contract is expected to run out by the end of the year or early next year. Sometime next year, he should be a free agent and able to sign with another company like AEW. The last time we saw him was at WrestleMania in that triple threat match for the Intercontinental title with Gunther and Sheamus. It ended up getting 5 stars from Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which is McIntyre's first 5-star match. Since he's been out of action, there's been, as stated, a lot of speculation regarding what could be next for Drew. Many seem to think he could be debuting for AEW at All In at Wembley Stadium, though that's not likely given the news reports that have come out about his contract. But I think that's the question today. Not only what is next for Drew, whether it be WWE or AEW or possibly something else, but what does he do if he goes to AEW, or what does he do if he stays in WWE? What is left for McIntyre to accomplish? You could maybe say, okay, he won the big one, he won the world title, but his reign was during the pandemic. He didn't really have the opportunity to have that reign in front of fans. Is he going to get another one? Probably not. Now, there's something to be said in this day and age because we have another world title. Seth Rollins recently won the World Heavyweight Championship at Night of Champions. Drew McIntyre during the draft was placed on Raw, which is where Seth Rollins is with that new world title. There is something you could do there. Right now, Drew McIntyre is a babyface. Seth Rollins is a babyface as well. I don't imagine that's the direction they would go if they're going to keep McIntyre babyface. If they want to switch him heel and have him go after Rollins, that could be a decent series. That could be an alright feud. I just don't see that resulting in him winning the world title. He came up short against Gunther. Gunther should continue to reign as Intercontinental Champion. I'm not saying he should have won that belt, but it begs the question, what is there left for Drew McIntyre to do? He's done pretty much everything if you look at his accolades and accomplishments within WWE, especially considering he left, came back, became world champion after reinventing himself, reinvigorating his career. I don't know if there's really anything for him in WWE. It might still be the better platform, depending on which perspective you're coming from. But in the case of Drew McIntyre, for fresh matchups, potential to become a world champion or maybe television champion, whatever have you, it gives you a clean slate to work with if he does go to AEW. Not to mention, he would be a big fish in a small pond. It's not to take a shot at AEW, it's just they don't have a lot of big guys there. McIntyre would be one of the biggest, and he would be a huge get for the company too. He's a big name, he's got star power to some degree, and he's a former world champion. AEW, of course, is going to be interested in signing McIntyre, talking to him once he's out of his contract, no longer has any strings attached to WWE. I think it's a very good possibility that he does end up signing with AEW after his deal is up with WWE. So going back to the question of what does he do if he stays in WWE or he goes to AEW, let's quickly go over what he can do in WWE. Specifically, I'm not sure. He's already done the big feud with Sheamus, had a title shot against Gunther, he's had the feud with Roman Reigns, and now he's on Raw. There is something to be done with Seth Rollins, I think. I think McIntyre Rollins could be a good program. You'd have to turn McIntyre heel, more than likely, and I think that could work. I just still see him coming up short. So for the remainder of his run in WWE, I can see him getting a world title program or match or something of that description against Rollins, and then have a few more programs with maybe some up and coming names, put them over on the way out, and then head to AEW. I don't know who it would be specifically, but McIntyre can probably pick and choose, or WWE can say, hey Drew, we want you to work with this guy. So that's what I would do if I was McIntyre. I'd try to insert myself into that world title program since you're on Raw with the world champion and Seth Rollins. Have a program for as long as you can, then head have either feuds with people you like, McIntyre, whoever his friends are that he wants to put over and have feuds with, or someone that WWE wants to put over, do that, and then leave however long that period is going to be, 90 days, whatever, and then sign with AEW sometime in 2024. Now, that leads us to the next question, because it's a two-parter, because he's still got to fulfill his contractual obligations with WWE. I'd imagine he will be coming back to programming. He'll finish up, like I said, have the world title program, hopefully, have some other programs, one or two, and then be on his way out and debut for AEW sometime next year. What do you do with him? Well, he's going to be a big babyface in AEW when he debuts. Fans are going to be so ecstatic that they have Drew McIntyre on their roster. AEW really could use some more big men, and especially with McIntyre, he's very agile. He can do a lot of the things that these smaller guys do. Not that he needs to do all of it, but he can, and he looks like $1 million. If MJF is still the world champion, you could have McIntyre come in, do a quick program with whoever it is. Might end up being Chris Jericho, who knows. He'll have that program, get out of it quickly. They'll have a match, build it up to a pay-per-view or some kind of event. He'll beat them convincingly, and then hopefully that can be some kind of #1 contenders match, and he'll start feuding for the world title. And if MJF's still the champion, they can do McIntyre MJF. I know MJF is going to have his contract run out sometime in 2024. Maybe he won't be there, but in AEW, I would imagine he'll come in, have some kind of program that gets him to the world title, and then he fights for the world title. Does he win it? Who knows? And then from there, like I said, it's a clean slate. There's plenty of matchups. They'll find something for him to do on Dynamite, maybe even Collision. We'll just have to see how it all pans out when Collision debuts next month. But there's a lot of things for McIntyre to do in AEW, as opposed to trying to add another few chapters to his time in WWE. I would imagine that he doesn't want to sign a 3-year deal to extend his contract in WWE. He'd probably be more open to signing a 3-year deal for AEW. So he'll more than likely, in my opinion, see his contract expire with WWE. He won't negotiate a new deal. Hopefully he'll feud for the world title, have a few more feuds, go to AEW, get into a program that gets him to some kind of #1 contenders match, or at least gets him in contention for the world title in AEW, has a feud for it, wins it, maybe he doesn't, and then we can go from there, and he can pick and choose and have a litany of matches at his disposal. So that's what I think is next for Drew McIntyre for the end of his run in WWE, as well as his future run in AEW. What do you think is next for him? What should he do in his remaining time in WWE? What should he do if he goes to AEW? Should he stay in WWE over going to AEW? Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. That's all I've got. I'll see y'all later.